G'day, guys. Welcome to episode 58 of Beyond the Finish Line podcast, the podcast for runners of every pace, every distance, and every goal. My name is Matt, aka Coach Matt, multiple-time Ironman, ultra-marathon runner. I am also the head coach and founder of the Performance Project, which is Australia's fastest-growing endurance community. If you want one-on-one coaching in 2026 for any endurance event, hit us up. The link is in the show notes. Today's episode is all about the running terms people pretend that they know. Everyone thinks they know the terminology, but they don't. So we're going to take you through it. We're going to take you through the key terms, everything you need to know, really beginner focused. We think this is an absolute cracker if you're getting into running and you just want to know the ins and outs. But before we get into that, I have to introduce my co-host. She is a multiple-time marathon runner. She is one of the best content creators in the country when it comes to running. She hates when I say that. She is also the fastest marathon runner on this podcast. She's a soon-to-be mum, and she is my business partner at the Performance Project. That is such a mouthful, Georgia. I think it's the first time I listed all of your accolades. Georgia, how you doing, mate?
I'm good. Thank you, Matt. I'm very, very good. It is, it's a great time to be alive. I think I'm riding off the high of everyone's Ironman on the weekend.
Big weekend.
Even though I wasn't even there, but my goodness, what an emotional weekend.
Yeah. Do you know what? Actually, just circling back to the intro, I didn't breathe that whole time. Now I know how you feel. I just ripped through that. That was like a minute 10 of no breathing.
I was like, do I bring up the fact that I could tell he couldn't breathe through that? It sounded
so good. This is what Georgia does every week.
It sounded so good. So I was like, I don't want to downplay how good that was. So I was like, yeah, anyway, yes, I could tell you couldn't breathe. And yes, welcome to my life. It is tough to get through all the different things. And you managed to just add in some extra fun little tidbits there. Mate, oh, dear.
Just came out this week. It was good. Just off the tongue.
I know. I get so stressed when you bring up social media.
People need to know, mate. You downplay it.
Yeah, but I'm really not. So anyway.
You literally work with the biggest brands in the world, or in the country at least. If you're not, no one is. Let's put it that way.
Actually, speaking of brands, we were just chatting about this off mic. A very exciting collaboration landed in my inbox yesterday. And I'm like, I wonder if they knew or they heard the podcast and me talking about my coffee addiction. So, yes, I have a very exciting collaboration coming up, guys, which you will laugh at when you see me post it soon. It's not too far away. It's a pretty rushed collab. So, yeah, they're sending me off a coffee machine. You'll have to wait and see which one I'm getting. But
and I'm just saying, if Georgia gets this from the podcast, I'm boycotting podcast. I'm retiring. I'm leaving because there was no mention of me whatsoever. So
I know, Devo,
if said brand hears this, hit your boy up.
No, it definitely wasn't running Beyond the Finish Line collaboration, but I reckon they definitely heard that. I'm addicted to coffee. Anyway, enough coffee chat, enough placenta chat. I had a couple of DMs about that, which was pretty funny. Talk to us about Ironman New Zealand. What an incredible weekend you experienced. I was very jealous I couldn't get over there. It looked amazing.
Yeah. Oh, just before we get into that, guys, a new addition to the show, in the show notes, I have been putting in timestamps. So if you do not like the chit chat between Georgia and I, you can skip forward to the terms. It'll all be down below. I'm just going to say that for the next couple of weeks so people get in the habit of it.
Good idea.
Yeah. Ironman New Zealand. It was unreal. I am so fortunate with the Performance Project, and Georgia, you'll probably experience it more this year, being your first full year as an owner and being around all the other, and you're not racing, but when you get to experience events like that with athletes, it is the most special. It's the best thing in my life. I live for it. And while it's super cool, and this isn't downplaying any events, half marathons, people train for years to go and do their first marathon or get their sub 4 or whatever. Ironman is just different. Maybe that's just because it's special for me because I am an Ironman athlete and it's something very close to me. But taking athletes to do an Ironman, whether it's a half or a full, it is just that is my love language. I just it makes me feel something that I can't feel anywhere else in the world. And watching Ant and Lou and Taylor go down the finish chute was just, like, even athletes I didn't coach, and you see the emotion on their face, it's just like, it's the best in the world. And I encourage anyone, even if you don't want to do an Ironman, if you are close to an Ironman, go down to the finish chute, like, after 8 o'clock, and you watch all like the normal people, quote unquote, go down there, and like who have taken 14, 15 hours, and it is just the most heartwarming experience of your life.
Yeah, gosh, it is. I know what you mean in terms of that love language thing, because when I watch people finishing marathons, it makes me emotional, and I love that experience. So I kind of get a taste for that. But I feel like an Ironman, as you said, is like just like such a different beast. It's such a long experience for the day. Like, you know, even for us, we woke up super early. We watched you guys all start, and then we were like, okay, they're off, they're swimming, they're doing this. And you watch them go through T1. You're like, great T1. That was awesome. You know, and because they are friends, of course, we're not watching strangers. Like Anthony's a very good friend of mine. Seeing him like tick off all the things, and I knew that he was doing what he was supposed to be doing. And then, you know, you kind of get to different points where you're like, oh, what's going on? This is not in the plan and stuff like that. Like, it's very interesting. And then, yeah, we set up the YouTube on our TV and just cried the whole way as he came across the finish line. But it's an incredible experience. I cannot imagine what it was like to actually be there.
Yeah, and even just from, like, obviously from the coaching perspective, because it is such a different beast, you go through the roller coaster with the athletes. Like, the highs and lows are just so much more exaggerated than compared to marathon training. And again, it's not downplaying. It's just, it's the enormity of the event, right? Like, the marathon is only 1/3 of the Ironman. So the highs and lows are 3 times as big, and you sort of wear that with the athlete, and then like to watch them go ahead and do it. Like, I coached both Ant and Lou to the finish, and Taylor. I coached all 3 of the guys, and it's just like you feel all the emotion as well. Like, you feel the highs and the lows, and like I'm out on course with them. When they're doing the marathon, I'm running up and down at different sections with them, giving them like, okay, this is where we're at. This is what we've got to do. Don't worry about gels. Now it's time to have Coke. Now's the time to focus on water. Like, giving them all different cues and like helping them through mentally. And it's like, it nearly feels tougher. It's tougher to coach for me than it is to do an Ironman. Like, it takes more out of me. So it's such a special experience. So it was really, really rewarding.
I feel like you'd also be taking the emotional side on as well. You're like taking in all their emotions as you're seeing them, you know, as you said, you're telling them what to eat. So you're thinking a heap, being like, okay, they've got to have this. What are they up to? What do they need? This kind of thing. And, you know, you're their emotional support as well, which is so, so cool. And it blows my mind because it's such a long way. And I don't think, unless you understand and you've seen how much someone has trained for an Ironman, it is really hard to comprehend how much it is. Like, I've trained for marathons and they take over my whole life. Like, these guys are training, you know, 4 or 5 hours on the bike on a Sunday. Then they've got to get a swim in as well. That's like a 2-3K swim. Like, it is wild. And to see them accomplish that is just next level.
Yeah. I don't even know like what else to say about it. It's just, New Zealand is just unreal. It was such a great place. We went down to, I'm going to try and say it quickly. It's Taupo, not Taupo.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah. It took us a while to, you hear like there's a whole bunch of different people pronouncing it, but like most people said Taupo. Like, I don't know how Ironman finds some of these locations, but like this small little town on the lake, just sensational, beautiful, like, or it looks like it's right near Hobbiton. So it's like all beautiful, lush green. It's just unreal. Crystal clear lake. Just the perfect place. I'll have to go back and do the full, not just the half.
Yeah. I did hear them say the name and I was like, oh God, I've been saying that wrong this whole time.
I think every Australian says it wrong, yeah.
I know, they must, like, Kiwis must definitely go like, oh guys, come on.
Oh, but if we're being fair, Deacon, like we were driving and I was like, there is not a single person from Australia who could pronounce that the way it's meant to be pronounced. Like, and you look at like the road signs and you're just like,
Yeah.
that is 17 syllables long. Like, I got no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I know. It's like if you go, to Wales or Dublin or something, and you just
Wales, forget about it. Yeah.
Even during the week, we had a client come in and she was Irish, and I just looked at her name in the calendar and I was like, I got no idea. She's 100% Irish. I got no idea how to say that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to take the loss.
Yeah. I get
cool.
that when we have like athlete consults too. Someone will reach out and I'll be like, I'll just get on the call with them. Like, just so you know, I got no idea how to say your name. So let's just tell me.
Tell me how to phonetically spell it and we'll be fine.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly that.
Okay, cool. So Hi is obviously, talk me through it. So you, obviously the Ironman is, how was your Half Ironman though?
Yeah, really good. It was so good to be back out there, to have 6 weeks training and go out and do a 5:20. I was really, really happy. I PB'd my half marathon in the 70.3, which was cool.
Yeah.
And I finished pain-free, like zero pain in my shoulder, which was obviously the main goal. So
yeah.
I didn't really care about the time. I just wanted to finish pain-free and did that. I had I was pretty happy because I had a really accurate idea. I had an idea before the race of where I would be at, and in the race that kind of played out exactly where I thought it would be. I thought I'd probably have about a kilometer of good swimming in me, and then I would sort of fade off. Pretty much what happened. The bike actually exceeded expectations. I thought I'd have about halfway until I couldn't hold aero, just because you need to spend a lot of time down in the TT bars to get comfortable, let your body relax so you can do those really long extended periods of time. And like for a full Ironman, you want to be like 6 to 8 months to like really dial in a position, especially for a more beginner athlete. I got to like kilometer 60, 65, so like 2/3 of the way through before it started to get a bit uncomfortable. But I held my best ever bike power, so PB'd that, which was cool after 6 weeks. And then the run, I knew my run was good. Like, I'm obviously training for 100K. I ran a 1:44 and my heart rate didn't get over 150 the whole thing. So I was pretty stoked. I was just cruising around in zone 2 all day.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I'm stoked. Finished pain free, obviously. Like, that was the main thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, God, a 1:44, that's on track to beat my marathon time at the end of the year.
Yeah. You don't have a chance, Georgie. It's gone.
I know. It's so bad because I want you to do so well in your Ironman at the end of the year. But I'm like, damn, I can't say it. And he's going to say it. And I'm like, well.
I don't think it's not as fun as you being the fastest marathon runner on the pod.
I know. Anyway, any lows for the week?
Any lows for the week? No, just takes a little bit of time to get back into routine after like travel and whatnot. Like, it's obviously, we sort of did a hit mission, so we flew in Wednesday. Flew in Wednesday, and then we were back Monday afternoon. So we had a whole bunch of filming. Like, we had Jimmy there, so we made a full guys. There'll be a full doco of Ant's debut Ironman. So we had filming all day Thursday. Friday was prep for the race. Saturday we raced. Sunday Sunday we drove back to Auckland, and then we flew out Monday morning. So we were in and out. So a little bit of time to get back into routine, but nothing too dramatic. How about you, Georgia?
Highs. I went to a Pilates class last night, and I was thinking,
you really are in your mum era.
I know, I've never done Pilates before in my life. I've been to a few Pilates classes in like influencer events, but they're always like pretty chill. Like, you kind of just turn up and everyone's chatting, it's not like a full blown serious Pilates class. And gotta admit, I was really nervous. I don't like classes. I find classes really intimidating. I've done a few like HIIT classes before High Rocks was a thing. I used to go to this gym that was like full on, a bit like High Rocks, and I really enjoyed those. But Pilates, I think there's no real room to have like not mistakes because you can do whatever you want really, but like people can really see everything you're doing. Like you can't really hide behind the fact that you crap at it.
Right.
So yeah, so like you're in this small room, there's like 15 people in there, there's mirrors everywhere. And I was just like, oh man, I'm so nervous. So I was absolutely packing it, but I was like, got to do hard things, even though this might not seem very hard. To me, I was like, this is a hard experience because I just felt really uncomfortable, but it was really good. I really enjoyed it. So that was my high for the week because I feel like I put myself in an uncomfortable position. I did something that was hard for me at the moment. Pilates is quite hard when you're pregnant, but it's very good for you. So I'm going to get into that. So that was really good. My lows is that my hip has been really sore, except it's a different hip soreness, which is so funny. Same side. But I went to the physio during the week and he was just like, this is very normal. So fun pregnancy fact is like, obviously your hips and pelvis just completely start to move apart and separate. So he said that's just pain from
just
this.
like growing pain sort of thing.
Yeah, like growing pains kind of. And when I explained to him, I was like, I can run fine. I really enjoy my runs. There's no pain when I run. The minute I stop, I'm in pain for like 24 hours. And he's like, yep, knew it. He's like he said, let me guess, like you're in pain for 24 hours and it starts to get better. And I was like, yeah. I was like, are you going to tell me I can't run? And he was like, no, not at all. Keep running. And I was like, oh, great. This is weird. So, that was a bit of a low because it's so painful after a run, but I guess, the running is worth it. So in like a way that I say, it's not like I'm running on an injury. That's not worth it, but it's just like growing pains. So he said it'll subside in the next couple of weeks. So have to just kind of push through it. But yeah,
Fair.
More fun pregnancy things.
I feel like I'm learning so much about pregnancy. For someone who doesn't want kids, I'm like, oh, this is interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's very interesting how the body works, and I'm super into it. So he was kind of showing me on the the human body things that he has. He was like, yep, so this is what's happening, and then that's compensating for this muscle which is pulling down here. And he's like, are you getting pain here? Are you getting pain here? And I was like, yeah, I am. All around the hip and groin. And so he's like, all right, let's jump up on the table. And I laid down and like he has like a belly pillow for me. Bless him. Went and bought a belly pillow for me. He was like, all right. And then he like just pressed it on this one point on my back. And I was like, oh my God, that's the pain. He's like, knew it. Must be so satisfying as like a physio when like you find the exact point. And I was just like, oh my God, that's it. And he's like, yeah, that's it. Got it.
Yep.
So yes, very interesting. But that's my highs and lows. Nothing too crazy these days.
I know you're so you're just seeping into mum mode. You're just like going things that would have been so mundane for you. You're like, yeah, this is so exciting.
So exciting. I'm going to Pilates. No, I'm trying to get in, like in terms of training, I'm trying to get in, 1 to 2 runs a week, a swim a week, and like 1 to 2 Pilates classes. I'm not really going to the gym anymore. He was like, there's not really much point for you with the pain you're having to try and strength train that. He's like, it's just going to make it worse. So yeah, that's me. I am still training, doing things, but yeah, not as exciting. Georgia runs nothing. Georgia has a baby.
Right. Yeah, Georgia has a baby, exactly.
Georgia has a baby.
That's enough.
Yeah, it's just the season I'm in, and that's fine. I'll be back, training for marathons soon enough. I'm getting so much FOMO after.
Yeah, correct.
I'm going to ignore that. I had so much FOMO after Tokyo Marathon and like seeing everyone doing LA Marathon and stuff. So definitely a marathon next year on the cards for sure. Which will be good.
Yeah, at the end of a 180k bike or like just by itself?
No way. I watched everyone do that Ironman. I was like, I couldn't want to not do something more in my life.
Do you know what I'm really excited about with Ant's doco is Ant had a really, I feel like so many people who post Ironman stuff, and it's the same in marathons, but they just post like, people could roll out of bed and do an Ironman and like nothing went wrong, went out and crushed it, went sub 12, whatever it is. Ant got the full dose of Ironman where like his stomach completely locked up and like he wasn't able to take on nutrition and like there was a lot of walking. And Jimmy got a lot of the not sexy part of Ironman, like the true slog, the true just disgustingness of Ironman, for lack of a better term. And guys, if you ever go to an Ironman, racing or not, and you're out that right on dusk sort of time, and you go walk around aid stations and you just look at people, you're like, oh, this is like proper in the weeds. Like, these guys are hurting like I've never seen people hurt before.
Yeah.
We got a lot of that content, so I think it'll be really, really good for people to see, like, oh, it's not this super glamorous, fun pursuit. It is like a proper battle against your own will to get through. So,
yeah.
It's I think it'll be really good for people.
I also think that it's going to be a great way for people to see that, Ironmans are actually very, very hard, and they get glamorized a lot. And it is, as much as Matt jokes about, me going to do an Ironman and whatever, it is actually a very hard thing to do. And it's not something that you just kind of take lightly. Yeah. And I've seen a lot of friends who've trained for things like this, and they're like, oh, it's not what I expected. So the doco will be really interesting that, you can actually really see how hard it is before maybe you want to consider doing one for yourself, or maybe you just push the timeline out. So yeah, I can't wait to see it. Jimmy does a great job. He's such an incredible, filmmaker and, videographer.
Yeah, we got some great content, and just on that, I think it's so different. But I guess a lot of our listeners, they probably listen to me talk about going sub 10. Like, I am 4 years into my journey of Ironman, and I've raced multiple, and I still go through the weeds, but I'm chasing a different goal. Obviously, I'm chasing a performance goal, where most people who are doing their first Ironman aren't chasing any form of performance goal. It's just such an eye-opening experience to go, holy shit, like, even though I trained super hard and I was super disciplined, I did all the things, it's like a marathon. Maybe this will be more relatable. Though your first marathon, when you hit kilometer 30, 32, you're like, oh my God, I've never hurt like this before. This hurt more than training. This hurt more than anything. It's just like that multiplied. Like, you get into that marathon and you're like, oh my God, like, I am walking and it's kilometer 7. I've got 35 kilometers of walking to do. And it's just one of those things, like, until you're like in it, you don't know what it feels like. And I hope that we're really able to expand on that.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to seeing it. It'll be up on our YouTube in due time. But yeah, guys, should we get into the running terms that every runner pretends to know and pretends that they, can talk about all day long?
I feel like all we did was look at trending Instagram reels, and we're like, this person doesn't know what that means, this person doesn't know what that means, and we just pulled them out.
Look, when we were obviously discussing this, there were some in there that I was like, I don't even think I know what that is. A couple of really rogue ones. I was like, that's not going to be beneficial to anyone. So I've put in all the ones that if you're a beginner runner, or even if you've been running for a while, you might want to, hone in on these and really make sure you know what they are. So it's going to be super helpful for you, I think. All right, let's kick things off with number 1, aerobic base.
Yeah, I think this is the most important one. This is when you hear people on social media talk about zone 2, aerobic capacity, just any of these like group terms that don't have a specific definition, base building, for example. They're just talking about your body's ability to perform aerobically. And aerobic means with oxygen. So your aerobic base is your body's ability to produce energy using oxygen. So breathe in oxygen, oxygen goes to the blood goes to the muscles go up and down. That is how it works. The way we build it is through consistent, easy pace running over weeks and months. So just, again, that consistency over a long period of time helps improve the body's efficiency, heart, lung, muscles. Very, very easy, very, very straightforward. Just a lot of people think it should work very, very quickly, but it is a very long, slow process.
Yes, definitely a long, slow process, but a great explanation. So thank you. Number 2, now this one, obviously we hear a lot on social media, zone training. Can you run us through what zone training is and maybe just a really super quick rundown on what each zone is?
Yeah, sure. So there's a whole bunch of different models with zone training. I think just for the sake of simplicity, we'll stick with 5 zone. Like there's up to 7, there's 5A, B, C. Like there's a whole bunch of different ones that people will talk about, but the stock standard, probably on your Garmin, is 5 training zones. Each training zone is based on a certain level of intensity. So each zone stresses the body differently. So zone 1 and 2, easy recovery, all the way up to zone 5, which is like maximal effort, VO2, which we'll get into later. Runners use different zones to target different adaptations. So zone 1, zone 2, again, we're working on that aerobic base. Zone 3 and zone 4, we're doing endurance, maybe a little bit of threshold stuff, which again, a term we'll get into later. And then, top of zone 4 into zone 5, we're really working on that speed, that top end sort of speed.
Perfect. And yes, the zones are definitely very buzzy on socials. So it is handy to know what everyone means. And it also might be handy for you guys to be like, oh, that person actually isn't correct with what they're saying. So you can take on information and not take on the wrong information online as well.
Absolutely.
Cool. Number 3, VO₂ Max.
Yeah. So VO₂ Max is the maximal amount of oxygen your body can take in during intense exercise. So previously we spoke about aerobic. When we start talking about VO2 and even threshold, we start talking about anaerobic, which means without oxygen, which essentially means your body is burning oxygen quicker than it can take it in. So if we just think of a bucket, when you're working aerobically, there might be one hole in the bottom of the bucket. Water is coming in, which would be oxygen, and it's slowly leaking out the bottom. When we go to anaerobic, it's like someone's just come in and stabbed 100 different holes in the bottom and it's just flooding out. No matter how much water we put in, we can't keep up. So that is anaerobic. When we start talking about VO₂ Max, it is a measure of your aerobic fitness and your endurance potential. So higher numbers generally mean better endurance capacity, but it's only one piece of the performance puzzle. It's not the be-all, end-all.
Definitely only one piece, not the most important thing at all. But yeah, super interesting if you start tracking your VO2. And it's interesting as you progress in your endurance journey, just seeing how it improves and stuff, which is always really good.
Absolutely. And counterintuitively, the more zone 2 that you do, the more slower stuff that you do, the higher your VO2 will go.
Yeah, because I guess you're working on that aerobic base, right?
Correct.
Perfect. Number 4, lactate threshold.
Yeah, so I think people will throw the word threshold around a little bit lax, where they just say, if I'm doing speed work, I'm doing threshold work.
Yeah.
Where threshold is, and we're not going to do these terms in this one, but threshold is your LT2 marker. So that is where your body is starting to produce lactate. So that's why it's called lactate threshold. Your body's starting to produce lactate. When you go to LT1, so that's the top of zone 2, your body is able to see the lactate, is able to absorb the lactate, clear it, get rid of it. As you increase intensity, the lactate continues to rise and rise and rise. When you tip over LT2, so lactate threshold, your body can no longer clear it. So again, it's very similar to the bucket analogy. It's like we're clearing the lactate. Now, like there is just so much lactate, our body can't clear it, and we go over threshold. So it's pretty much the intensity where your body starts to produce lactate faster than it can clear it. When you cross that point, fatigue builds really, really quickly. If anyone's been on like an echo bike or done 100-meter repeats, and you just get to that point where your muscles are so pumped that you can't even move, that's like them just full of lactic acid. And like training near this pace like helps runners. It hold faster speeds for longer. So doing threshold work you'll be able to run faster for longer, but again, it is only for that 30 to 60 minute window. You're not going to sit at threshold for a whole marathon, for example.
And so just on this whole lactate stuff, do you want to just quickly explain that it's different, like that lactic acids that people talk about as well?
Yeah, so lactic acid is just like a byproduct of the body. And as you increase intensity, more lactic acid is getting into your bloodstream. And it's the easiest way to think of it, it's like a poison, right? So once there is so much lactic acid, your body basically just goes, cut it, stop everything. Like if you guys ever watch CrossFit or any like high rocks or stuff, and you just see the guys just laying on the ground, just like holding their legs, trying to shake them, That's like them just trying to like clear lactic acid out because their body has just gone too much. Like you've essentially got poison in the blood. We need to shut everything down and clear this out.
Yeah. And just because those terms always get, confused. Cool. Number 5, progressive overload.
Really, really important when we talk about any sort of training, whether it's endurance, high intensity, strength training. It's probably most commonly known in strength training. For example, if you were doing sets of squats, week 1, you might do 10 sets of 10 at 50 kilos. And then week 2, you might go, I will either increase the sets, I will increase the reps, or I will increase the weight. And then you would do that week on week on week on week. That would be like an example of progressive overload. Pretty much when it comes to running, there is no, we talk about the 10% rule. I would say there's no like hard and fast, this is progressive overload. Every runner is so different. I've spoke about last week, some of our runners at TPP, I know I can push them 25, 30% higher for a couple of weeks and then bring it down and go up. Essentially, it is just doing a little bit more each week. I think that's the easiest way to describe it.
Yeah, and both are super important, especially like running term wise, it's important. But also if you're in the gym, you might have a strength training program that talks about progressive overload. And, it is a really great way to get stronger. If you're kind of going into the gym and winging it, it's not as good. But it is definitely a lot better if you start looking into progressive overload for your sessions in the gym, which helps your running and vice versa.
Yeah, and it's just small increases let your body adapt to it, right? If you go out and do a 20K run one week and then the next week you do 50, the chances of your body actually being able to adapt to that stimulus and absorb it, very, very minimal. So you want to be like 20 to 22, 25, something like that. Your body goes, oh, cool. Like I understand this. I can it's not so much that I can't recover. I'm able to absorb that fitness and then continue to get stronger and progress. Stress and stimuli makes the muscle grow.
Your favorite saying.
Yep.
That pushes us into number 6, which is training load.
Training load, it's pretty much just a measure of how much stress your workouts place on the body. Yeah, most watches will calibrate some form of performance metric, which would just be a combination of like duration, intensity, and like overall heart rate data. So if you spend a lot of time in a high heart rate zone, it'll be a more intense workout. If you spend a lot of time in a lower heart rate zone, it'll be a less intense workout until obviously it crosses a certain threshold where, maybe we're getting to the ultra world, spending 12 hours at zone 2, very, very intense workout. Pretty much it just helps show whether you're training enough or too much. Like training load, I think that's the easiest way to do is managing the duration, intensity, and total volume over an extended period of time.
Perfect. Number 7, recovery run. Now, this is something I was guilty of when I first started running. I used to call any kind of easy run a recovery run. Talk us through what a recovery run actually is.
Yeah, so we have a stock standard recovery run at Performance Project. We call it Never Miss a Monday, and we do it back to back over all of our marathon runners' long run. So they'll do their long run on Sunday, never miss a Monday on the Monday. And I put specifically in this description, I do not care about pace. I do not care about how far you run. I do not care about anything other than time on feet and that your heart rate's in the right zone. So that's zone 1, zone 2, very easy, very recovered. If you're extremely fatigued, that could even be a walk. Like if you're doing a power walk, your heart rate could get into zone 1, 2, depending on that fatigue level. But pretty much all we're trying to do is get some time on your feet, get the blood flow. So when we talk about lactate, when we talk about byproducts from exercise, so your body is essentially clearing out a bunch of gunk that's in your muscles, in your blood, and it just sits there. And as your heart pumps, it takes a little bit and clears it out, takes a little bit and clears it out, pushes it through the your blood circulation and gets into things like your liver, kidneys, things like that, and it clears it out. If we can increase your heart rate, means your heart is going to pump faster, harder, and it's going to clear more stuff out. So while most people would want to sit on the lounge, maybe stretch, to do these other things, going for a walk, going for a very, very light jog will actually increase your recovery rate very, very quickly. So it also doesn't add fatigue too, which is why I emphasize I don't care about pace. I don't care about how far you run. I just care that you're out there for 40 minutes to an hour and that your heart rate's in that right zone 1, zone 2. So that is what an actual recovery run is, which is different than to a zone 2 run. But
yeah, it's handy to know because people wouldn't know the difference. And I mean, as I said, when I first started running, I didn't know the difference. I just thought any kind of easy run is a recovery run.
Yeah.
But they are very important. And that's why, as you said, we never miss a Monday at TPP. They are a great session. I do miss them sometimes. Cool. So let's jump into number 8, which is strides. We've spoken about this on the podcast before. What are strides and when would you be using them?
Yeah, so strides are very, very different. I think a lot of people would consider or might look at a stride session and go, oh, it's intervals or maybe a fartlek session, where strides are normally come at the end of an easier sort of zone 2 style run. Probably not a recovery run, but more zone 2, where we're just doing anywhere from 4 to 12, depending on the athlete and the distance, 15 to 30, probably nothing over 30 seconds, short bursts at a controlled effort. So if you're training for a marathon, you'd probably go up to marathon effort, half marathon effort. Anything over that, even if you're training for a 10K, you probably wouldn't push to 10K pace. That's probably getting a little bit too thresholdy. Then you start producing that lactate, start producing those byproducts. The purpose of these sessions are improving running mechanics, speed coordination, and it's really that neuromuscular efficiency. So it's telling your brain that it's like, oh, I know how to run at this pace, and it's just hammering that signal into the body over and over and over again.
Yeah, and you're doing it then you're not on fresh legs, which is, really good too. It's a great way to, I find strides really confidence building. I love them. They're so much fun. I used to always put them on the end of a long run or cool. So we spoke about this last week, but cadence. What is cadence and does it actually make you, a better runner? But I guess in the broader term, like what actually is cadence when people talk about it?
Yeah, so cadence is the number of steps you take per minute while running. It influences running rhythm and efficiency. Small adjustments can sometimes reduce injury risk or improve running economy, but for the majority of athletes, I would say the majority, and this is, again, a broad term, could have afford to improve cadence a little bit. I know we spoke about that last week. I think we actually spoke about 2 weeks in a row. I think a lot of athletes can afford to improve slightly their cadence, increase it just a bit, but there is no golden term in terms of the 180, right? Like that is just such a generic, ridiculous term. Like my average cadence, I even looked it up because I knew we'd talk about it for a 144 half marathon was 168. And and that was very, very comfortable for me. If I had have pushed to a higher cadence into the 170s, I wouldn't have been able to control my heart rate. So for me, 168 is great. I'm 6'1" and I take quite a long stride. Then I was also running right next to this girl who was a really, really good runner, and she would have been under 5'8" for sure. She's like definitely way shorter than you, Georgia. And she was like, for every one of my steps, she was nearly taking 3. Like, that's how it felt. Yeah. She was like, tap, 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 tap. So, to answer your question, to answer the definition, there is no one number for everyone. There is no golden 180. There is no nothing. It is just what is most efficient and what keeps you in the best rhythm.
Yeah, definitely. And, as you said, we spoke about this before, but everyone is so different. And I would be more like that girl where I'm taking 2 to 3 steps per, one of Matt's or one of Nick's.
One of Nick's, exactly. Like Nick and I have a very similar cadence.
Yeah, exactly. And like my cadence can be sometimes in the high 170s, probably not so much at the moment, but it used to be. So, you can't look at someone online and try and compare yourself or their advice on what you should be running. The only person, who would know what you should be running is either you or your coach. So, take that with a grain of salt. Number 10, running economy or your running form.
Yeah, this is, I guess, more of a carry-on from Cadence, where there isn't a golden rule. There isn't a, hey, you need to be a forefoot striker, a midfoot striker, a heel striker. You need to move your arms in a certain way. You need to knee drive a certain way, recovery a certain way. Like all of these things, like everyone is so different biomechanically. And I think the majority of people will look at an Instagram clip where, number one, they know they're being filmed, so they're probably chest out, shoulders back, doing
Guilty.
they're really trying to turn it on a little bit, and like, oh my god, that's how they run all the time, and you're like, is it? So running form refers to like how efficiently your body moves while running. Okay, and everyone moves efficiently in their own way. If we talk about what your body actually wants to do, your body wants to be as efficient as possible. It's called homeostasis, right? It wants to keep everything as stock standard, safe, keeping you alive. That is like hardwired into our DNA. So when you learn to do something, whether that is run, whether that is ride a bike, whether that is lift a weight, whether that is rock climbing a tree, like it doesn't matter, surfing, anything, your body, from the moment you learn it, it is going, how do I do this as efficiently and as safe as possible? Like that's all it cares about. It doesn't want to be injured. It doesn't want to burn excess calories. It doesn't want to do anything.
Yeah.
So while everyone's running form is very, very different, again, there is no golden goose. There is no golden standard that you must run like Kipchoge. Even if you compare all the top marathon runners, they all run slightly different. Now, and this is, I'll just add on to this just to help people. You might look at all of the top marathon runners and go, they all run very, very similar. But if you also look at their biomechanics, they're all basically the same height, same weight, same leg length. Like they're all very, very, very similar. So like that's why you go, oh, the top 50 marathon runners all run the same way. Should I run like that? It's like, no, they're all their biomechanics are pretty much the same. Whereas you might be 5'5" and have really, really short legs, and then someone like Nick might be 6'1", 6'2", and have really, really long legs. So again, like that running form is going to change pretty dramatically. Running economy is again a carry on from that. It's just how much energy you use at a given pace. So better mechanics and strength can help you run faster for less effort.
Yeah. And just with your running form, if it is something you want to improve, you can speak to either your coach, you can speak to Matt. Just don't take clips off like online. But you can also go to, your physio and specialized places that, will actually look into your running form for you so that you can actually improve it safely without hurting yourself.
Yep.
As I've mentioned before, I've tried to improve it myself. I ended up hurting myself. So trust me when I say go and get professional opinion on it. It's not something you want to be taking from the internet.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Amazing. Number 11, tapering. We talk about this, especially with a race coming up. What does that mean?
Yeah, so tapering is the reduced training volume before a race. So depending on the size of the race, or depending on the size of the taper, it's pretty universal that nothing longer than sort of 14 days is really beneficial. So for example, if I'm doing an Ironman, I will do a 10-day taper. If I have got international travel or if I've got a big travel, I might extend that out to 12 or 14 days, depending on what the travel schedule looks like. For example, I just finished working out our Boston Marathon runners. We've got 3 or 4 athletes running Boston. And we've done 14 days to allow for that international travel.
Yeah.
But for most people, a marathon, anywhere from 7 to 10 days, half marathon, 7 days is fine. The goal of this is really to remove fatigue while maintaining fitness. So we talk about how long it takes to lose cardiovascular fitness. As long as you're keeping that engine turning over, you're not going to lose any cardiovascular fitness, and then you're not going to lose any conditioning. This is where a really great example where we'd use strides. We do a lot of strides in a taper session. So we're just continually keeping that neuromuscular signal firing. A mistake a lot of people make, and this is something I really, really, I fucking nail it into our TPP athletes, is they think I've got through peak week, training is done. Now all I've got to do is rest, recover, get ready. It's like, no, like tapering is arguably just as important as peak week. Like if you fuck off your tapering and just sort of train as you think your body needs, you're actually doing a lot of damage from that neuromuscular pattern. So they'll take those 2 weeks, they'll not do the strides, they'll not do the bike efforts, whatever, and then they get to race and like, oh my God, race effort feels so hard. And you're like, no shit. So the goal of tapering, 7 to 10 days, trying to remove fatigue while maintaining fitness. You would just want to get to the start line feeling really, really fresh and your body knowing exactly what it's got to do for the next 3 to 15 hours, depending on your event.
Yeah. And as we always say, trust the taper. You know, don't freak out that you're like, oh, I can't run. Like, I know there's definitely been runs in tapers where I'm like, oh my God, this is so hard. Trust it. You're doing everything right. It's all good.
And just on tapering, there is a textbook version of tapering, but every athlete is different. So like I actually don't respond really well to a classic taper. I need a little bit more volume, but less intensity. So if people looked at my Ironman taper, they'd be like, oh, you're training. I'll do a 3-hour ride the week before a race. Whereas most people are down to like an hour. So the more tapers you go through, the more you sort of understand like, oh, I need a little bit more of this, a little bit less of that. It is really, really normal, just on what Georgia said, to feel super lethargic for the first 75% of your taper. And it's going to scare the shit out of you where you're going to be like, oh my God, I am so tired. I'm lethargic. I fucked this. 2 or 3 days before, you just like, it's called a super compensation where you just bounce out of the hole. All of a sudden you're super fresh and you're like, okay, good to go. So if you're racing on a Sunday, you might feel like shit the Thursday before and it might scare you. You'll come good.
You will come good. Just trust it. It's there for a reason. Speaking of, longer runs or races, we have number 12, negative split.
Yeah, a neg split means running the second half of a race or an event quicker than the first half, or if you break it down into kilometer intervals, it'd be progressively getting quicker. It can show like controlled pacing and strong endurance. It's definitely more of an advanced option. Very, very rarely would I program neg splitting in a race for an athlete. And I couldn't actually think of too many athletes I've coached in the beginners that we spoke about this in Ironman. So when you get to that kilometer 28, 30, 32, to have that mental fortitude to be like, okay, now's the time to like go harder. It's like most of the time they're like, oh my God, how am I going to get through this? So I wouldn't say neg splitting is something the majority of our listeners need to worry about in terms of race day, but it is a great training tool. So to neg split some of your longer runs, even if it is the last 2, 3, 5Ks of a long run, make that your quickest. That's a very good training methodology.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just good to know what it means so that when you see online or you see your friends talking about, oh, I'm going to neg split my race, it's kind of like you don't need to take that on and think I need to do that as well. And as Matt said, it's not for everyone. So
yeah, I would encourage the majority of our listeners. The greatest sign of an endurance athlete is consistency, and I would say that is the same during a race. So if you go out and we'll say Georgia's marathon, for example, she needed to run 5:38. If she ran the first kilometer at 5:38 and kilometer 42 at 5:38, I'd be like, outstanding, phenomenal. I would much rather see that than her run 5:38s, 5:45s, 5:38s, and then the last two she ran 4:30s. Like I'm like, that doesn't do anything for me. It just like it just doesn't.
This is kind of very similar to our next one, which is progressive run. So you're progressively getting faster. Are they used in different ways, or are they kind of the same thing?
A progression run will normally, it's probably a bit more in the fartlek style, where it might be 2 or 3 intervals pinned together. So you might be like, again, we'll just use Georgia's pacing, for example. It might be 1 kilometer at 5:50, which would be slightly slower than marathon pace, 1 kilometer at 5:40, which would be marathon pace, and then maybe 1 kilometer at 5:30 or 5:20. Let's just call that half marathon pace for the sake of the conversation. And then a 1K float, and then you might repeat that again. For longer marathon runs, you could do, 5:55, 6:66, something like that. But I probably, again, that's pretty advanced to sort of do a progression run like that. I would definitely sort of put progressive run probably more in the fartlek style versus like the neg split conversation we just had.
Yeah, and just really quickly, it's not actually on this list, but fartlek, do you want to quickly just explain what that is? Because it sounds funny, but you might hear it a little bit.
Yeah, so I think the easiest way to like just the probably the two that they get confused with is fartlek and there's interval. So interval is just like 1 time on, 1 time off. So minute on, minute off, 2 minutes on, 90 seconds off, something like that. Whereas fartlek would probably be stringing 2 or 3 different paces together and then having a rest and then doing. So again, more of that progressive run. So it might be, 400 meters at half marathon, 400 meters at 10K, 200 meters at 5K pace, and then a rest and repeat.
Cool. It's just a handy one for people to know because it is, it's a bit of an older school term. You don't hear it as much anymore, fartlek. I feel like that was around a lot more like 5 years ago. Lots of people, it was quite buzzy, but now you don't hear it as much. But in case you do, that's just a little explanation for you guys.
I think it is because it is not, number one, it's not obviously not the sexiest thing to say. And for people,
I was going to say because of the name.
Yeah, because of the name. But I feel because the majority of, and we're not picking on influencers, but it's just like that's where obviously a lot of people get their running information from.
Yeah.
They just don't know how to program it, where it sits. Like it is quite a complicated thing. And if you don't know, you don't know. It also doesn't sound as good as doing 10 by 400. Like 10 by 400 at whatever pace. Like people can sort of wrap their head around that. Like, okay, that's 4K at whatever pace. Like I get that. Where if you're like 400 at 10K, 400 at 5K, 200 at VO₂ Max, for example, they're just like, I don't understand. Like they don't comprehend it. And
yeah, it's a lot of info.
Yeah, it is. So I feel like there's probably a few different things that play into that. But for me, I think it is, and it's always been an integral part of our programming. Like we'll either be doing VO₂ or fartlek style workouts all the time.
Yeah, I love fartlek. I find them so fun. Number 14, bonking.
So
we've been there.
Yeah. Pretty much. Again, a weird word. Don't know how we landed on bonking, but
because I'm pulling these off like words I know I've heard that people will be like, "What the fuck is bonking?"
That's what it's called, but I don't know how the community landed on bonking being the term. Like, there's just a few where you're just like, I wonder, like, is this like from the 30s and they didn't have anything better to say? Like,
bonking.
Yeah, legit. All bonking is like you've just run out of fuel. Like, so your body runs low on available fuel during exercise. So we'll get into what glycogen is later, or go back and listen to our episode with Lauren where we talk about glycogen. Glycogen is carbohydrates in the blood that you can go into the muscle you can use for energy. Once you drop below a certain level, and again, we go back to talk about homeostasis where your body's like, hey, energy level's too low, shut her all down. Like it's too dangerous. You're going to risk yourself if I let you keep going. So your body's got all of these like little safeguards in place. Your body will just go, nah, no energy. And it hits you like you're just like cruising along. And then you're like, oh, I am on zero, out of petrol, nothing left. Yeah. So it's just, you've just run out of fuel.
Yeah, run out of fuel. It's just like as if you're driving an electric car and it just has no battery left. And it's like, and you're like, oh God, I feel like I've hit it. Yeah. Anyway, which pushes us into our next one, which is called the wall or hitting the wall, a very popular term in marathon running. You'll probably hear a lot of people say that they hit the wall around that 33 kilometers. Matt, do you want to explain to everyone what that means?
Yeah, so I actually put a few of these into GPT just to like kind of get what the consensus definition of
Yeah.
what it is. And I actually don't agree with this one. Hitting the wall, so GPT said hitting the wall typically occurs late in long races like the marathon, which is correct. They ran like 28, 30, 32 kilometer mark. It believes it's very similar to bonking. It's when glycogen stores get depleted, which definitely can be one of them. I would argue that the wall is actually more of a mental barrier versus a physiological barrier. So
yeah, I agree.
It's like when we talk about in Ironman, what we talk about at the start of this episode, where you get to kilometer 28, 30, 32, and for beginners, it's because they've never been there before. And for Kipchoge and the elites, it is because they are pushing their body to the absolute limit. And they go, I just don't know if I can keep pushing this hard. That's the wall. It's where you start questioning out of nowhere. That self-talk starts and you're just like, I don't know if I can finish this. I don't know like if I can hold this pace. I don't know if I'm capable of doing what I set out to do. That I would argue that is more of the wall than it being glycogen dependent. It's the self-talk.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like, a lot of people, if they're not getting their fueling correct, that would be where they kind of hit
Absolutely,
the
for sure.
quote unquote wall. For me, the wall has always been that kind of unknown. It usually hits me around the same time of when I've kind of done my longest long run.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, if my longest long run in my first ever marathon was 32 kilometers, that's exactly where I hit the wall, was around that 32 kilometer mark, because my body is just going, holy crap, I've never been anywhere past this. It's that unknown. It's not knowing if you can do it. And that's, as Matt said, that's that, self-talk where you get out there and you're like, I've never done this before. My body doesn't know what this feels like. I don't know if I can do this. So that's kind of where, you want to either push your long runs a little bit longer so you're having less time to have that wall, quote unquote, or it's kind of like you need to really train your mindset to understand that you have come so far, you have got this far, you can do it. It's not, nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. Especially in the beginners where they haven't, maybe in your first 2 or 3 marathons where you haven't just done those reps at 30 plus kilometers. Yeah, it's just oh my God, I've never been here before and I don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah. I'm just going to, this one was actually pinned for last, but I'm going to pop it here now.
Mm-hmm.
So number 16, glycogen depletion, which is what Matt was just talking about when we're talking about bonking. Matt, do you want to just tell everyone what that actually is? Because I know we spoke about it in our episode with Lauren, episode 23. But if you could just quickly go over that would be super helpful.
Yeah, so glycogen is stored carbohydrates in your muscles. So we use it for energy. So you eat carbohydrates, it breaks it down into glycogen. Glycogen gets stored. We can store it in our liver, store it in our muscles. We can store it pretty much anywhere. Excess glycogen then turns into body fat. So if you're ever in a situation where you're like stuck on a desert island and you have to fast, your body can then break down fat into glycogen for energy. So you are able to, again, like homeostasis, like it's giving you energy to be able to go out and hunt, gather. Like we're going way, way back in terms of like our DNA. Yeah. So glycogen depletion is just a fancy word for bonking. It's where, hey, you've just hit zero, no energy left. And I know I just said your body can use body fat. It's obviously a very, very slow process for it to go, okay, like I'm going to take this chunk of body fat, break it down into glycogen, and then into the muscles. Like that's like a multi-day process. It's not just I have excess body fat, so I don't need to have a gel. My body will work it out. Like that's not how it works.
I was going to say, don't go out there trying to like lose body fat.
Yeah,
but like not eating.
That's a very, very inefficient way of getting lean. But yeah, so that glycogen depletion is just a fancy word for or a more technical term for bonking.
Cool. All right, we have 2 more left, guys. Number 17, heart rate drift. I've seen this online a little bit, but it's, again, that's one of the ones I'm not really too sure about, so I popped it in here.
Yeah, I'd say this is probably on the slightly more intermediate style where probably beginner runners don't need to worry about it too much. But heart rate drift, it's where your heart rate slowly increases during a long run, even if your pace stays the same. So this is basically a fatigue metric. So before where I said for our recovery run, you could be walking and your heart rate could be in zone 2. That's because you're super fatigued. So if I'll use this example again, we'll use Georgia as our guinea pig. Georgia sets out for the Sydney Marathon at 5:40 per kilometre. And when she starts, her heart rate is 140. And let's say she hits 5:40 for every single one of those kilometres. At kilometre 10, her heart rate might be 145 for the exact same effort. And then when she gets to kilometre 20, it might be 150. And then kilometre 30, 155, kilometre 35 or kilometre 40, 160. Like, you can see how that goes. That's just your body going, hey, I'm getting tired and I have to work harder to produce the same effort. That's the easiest way I can describe it.
Yeah, no, that's super handy. It's a very great explanation. Thank you. It's something it is true. When in a marathon, you definitely see it very clearly. You can see that heart rate drift a lot. But yes, as much as we used me as the guinea pig, I don't think they were my actual heart rate.
No, I know. It's just like...
It's a very interesting, a great way to explain it, though. I love, you're always welcome to use me as the guinea pig. Yeah. All right, last one, guys. Overtraining, number 18.
Yeah, and I think given our stress fracture conversation and everything, This is probably like a really, really good one. Overtraining occurs when training stress exceeds your body's ability to recover. So performance starts to decline. Common signs, persistent fatigue. So when we talk about, I always talk about that level of fatigue that a good night's sleep can't fix. That's like a really, really good indicator. If you then are having poor sleep, so you're exhausted at the end of your day of training or your end of the day, and you go to bed and you wake up and you just feel like you haven't rested, haven't recovered, great sign. Irritability. So if you're like, just sessions aren't going well and you're really just sort of not a nice person to be around, great one. And another one is like a bit of... guys, take this with a grain of salt because like it is also a part of endurance training, but stalled progress. So if you're doing these sessions and maybe you're trying to increase your 5K and just like, I'm just not getting quicker or things aren't progressing, might not necessarily be a sign of overtraining, but it is definitely something just to keep an eye on. So that they would be like my main points on overtraining.
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone would have experienced that at one point. That's our 18 terms, guys, that we think all runners need to know or they pretend to know, and now they know very well. Yeah. I think that's everything. Anything else you want to add in there, Matt?
I think if you guys like this and there are certain terms you would like us to define, we will do a thing on Instagram and we're happy to do another episode and just collect the ones that you guys want us to break down. When we get enough of them, when we get like another 20, we'll do another episode. So Georgia will put that up and we'll collect them all, or you can put it in the comments below and we'll collect them. And then when we get 20, we'll do another one.
Yeah, we're also going to do a refresh on zone training. I think everyone loves to hear more about zone training. We get a lot of questions about this. So that will be an episode coming up as well, guys. So stay tuned for that. But this has been episode 58. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you head over to Instagram and follow us at beyondthefinishline_pod. Head over to wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, download, do all of the things for us. If you want to train with us at the Performance Project, make sure you hit either Matt up. You can talk to me, talk to us on the podcast Instagram. We would love to get in touch with you, get some training into you, get coached by the one and only Coach Matt. Lucky you. But thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful day.
Hey, Root.
Bye.